All right. So
We can go.
we are alive. Hold on. Yay. Yep, we are live.
Okay, well, this is very exciting. Hi, friends in the DLD community. We are thrilled to have Margarita with us today. Margarita is the mother of a 32-year-old amazing woman with DLD, and she has so much experience to share with us. She's also a teacher, and so we're just so excited to hear from her. Margarita, is there anything else you'd like to tell our community about yourself before we jump into the questions?
No, thank you for having me. And this is a great way to communicate with families that are going through this journey. And I'm happy to share and to be able to help and answer any questions that people might have.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I know that for so many parents, when they receive this diagnosis, they haven't heard of it before, and a lot of their support network hasn't heard of it before. Sometimes the child's teachers haven't heard of it before.
Mhm.
So to hear from a parent who's walked this journey for decades, who has gone through so many different situations, and then to have the opportunity to hear about lessons that you've learned, I think it's really invaluable. So we have a list of questions that parents have sent in advance, and we
Mhm.
also welcome any questions that people might want to share in the chat. So feel free to do that, and if we can, we'll get to them. If we can't, we're going to do another Facebook Live with Margarita, we think, so we can save up those questions for next time too. But let's just jump right in here. So our first question for you, Margarita, is how did you find community in the struggle while you were parenting your child with a disability that wasn't well known?
Okay. Yeah, that was a lonely journey.
Hmm.
She was diagnosed in 1998 with language processing disorder because, of course, DLD wasn't in the picture. Um, she received some speech therapy in school, but we didn't know people that had kids with the same language issues.
Hmm.
We worked with a private SLP for since she was in kinder up to third grade. And basically, it was just us, the private speech therapist, who became a family friend. And she's followed my daughter all the way up till grad school. And now, still, she always checks with her and see how she's doing and everything. But it
Hmm.
was just us. That's all.
Wow.
There was no, I mean, of course, no Facebook page. There were no other parents. Their teachers didn't know.
Hmm.
It was just a language processing disorder. Then later on, it was called um, receptive and expressive language disorder. But that
Right.
was it.
Yeah, so it was a very lonely place for you. You
Yes.
didn't have other parents who were navigating a similar journey to connect
Mm-hmm.
with. And I think even today, a lot of our members are just meeting people through the Facebook community
Mm-hmm.
um, as the only other parents they know of who are navigating this journey. So our hope is that that is going to change and that as
Exactly.
public awareness increases, there will be more of local communities. But for now,
Mm-hmm.
we're so glad that we can provide this virtual community at least
Yes.
because it's so important to feel like you're not walking that journey alone. And
Mm-hmm.
I just marvel that you made it through with hardly any support. You have a very, very strong personality, and that's what moms do, right? We have to, but
We
having
have to.
community,
Yeah.
yeah, can help so much. So let's talk about some key things that you think are important for parents to focus on to make sure that their kids can become more independent.
Okay. I think teaching them organizational skills,
Mm,
it's basic because since kids with DLD take longer time to do things, not just academically, but in other areas, in daily life activities. So, teaching them to organize their time lessens the anxiety and the frustration of not being done on time or needing to do more, uh, because they just want to cover everything,
Hmm.
and that creates more anxiety, which is a big issue with DLD kids.
Yeah.
So having them a way to organize their time and put priorities on the things they need to do, how to take the time they need to relax, or if they feel that they start getting frustrated, stop, go to something else. So those little skills that we take for granted, we need to
Hmm.
teach that to them.
Mm. Yeah,
um,
those are important.
I think also, we have to tell them that it's okay to take chances, and it's okay to make mistakes, and that you will be right there behind them.
Yeah.
If they need you, they have you there. But encourage them to try again. Just because they couldn't do it then doesn't mean that that's it for them. That's not something that they should pursue. No, they
Hmm.
should be encouraged to try it again.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's important for them to be able to advocate for their needs, how to communicate what they need, what works for them,
Hmm.
to grown-ups, to other children. So it's a long process. This is basically a never-ending one. And as your child develops, then you will have to adapt certain things that you are doing. But I think that, um, knowing that they have that support and that they can come to you and they can adjust based on what they are going through, it's important. So it's
Yeah, for
very
sure. That
important.
unconditional love, knowing that mom is a safe place or dad or grandma is a
Mm-hmm.
safe place for me to go and share how I'm feeling. And
Yeah,
if I make a mistake, they're going to be there to help me, not to get cross at me. That's so important to have that safety. Do you
yeah.
have any practical examples of ways that you helped your daughter with her organization or her time management? Like, did you have schedules on the fridge or
Yes,
what did you
and
do?
she still uses a planner.
Mm,
She has a planner. She writes everything down, and yeah, she always looks at it, and she prioritizes, and she makes sure that appointments or whatever she needs to do, it's there in writing. She has to see them.
yes, those visuals are
Yeah,
so
the
important. And I,
visuals are very important. Yeah, and when
yeah.
she was a kid, I used to, I had those little whiteboards,
Hmm.
so I could write every day whatever, and then erase it, and and we can put marks and happy faces, things like that, based on the age. But
Hmm.
yeah, so
That's
that
great.
helped her. Yeah.
That's great. And I think it can give a lot of hope to our parents to see that, of course, we don't expect a child to be using a planner independently, but they can get to that point, right?
Hmm.
Now that your daughter is an adult, she has, through a lot of repetition and support, she's developed that skill so that she can use her planner independently. And she has developed those prioritizing skills that are so important. So I think it's great. And did you make the plan with her? Did you kind of write it out together and decide on priorities together sometimes?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so that
The
was
other
really
thing I wanted
modeling
to
for her.
add is also for her writing things is very important. So
Mm.
that's why she doesn't have everything on the iPhone. Like, I still don't make lists on my iPhone, but
Mm,
I'm
she
a
does it
teacher,
by
so I'm used
hand.
to it. But she writes it. She needs to write it. So
Okay.
she has the visual, she has the the actual activity, the physical of writing it. So that helps also.
Yeah, with retaining it. Oh, that's
Hmm.
great. That's great. Anything practical you did to help her self-advocate? Because that was another thing you mentioned that's key for independence.
Um, I think that she was able to do that when she finished high school,
Hmm. Okay.
and when she moved to the university for her bachelor's. That's when she was ready, and she was faced to, I'm here alone and I
Hmm.
have to do it.
Okay.
So it just came out, and she did it. Yeah.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
great. And just one related question, and then we'll jump to the next one on our list here. Do you think that kids who are younger could learn to self-advocate if there was a lot more discussion as they were young about what DLD is and how their particular brain works? Do you think that it's realistic?
Yes.
We sure do, but as a
Yes.
parent,
As a parent and as a
mhm,
teacher,
and as a teacher.
because yeah, like there are many ways that you can explain your child he or she has DLD, right?
Hmm.
So there are simple ways with the books, the series of books that you have,
Mm,
that show them they can identify with those struggles. They see it in simple words, and
mm,
once they recognize I need this, then they can express that and say it not just to adults but to other kids,
yeah, I
especially
love
to
that.
kids, because the social part is very, I will say that the social part is the most compromised for kids with DLD.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that can affect self-esteem so much, right? So I
Yes.
love that you said that, and that really is the heart behind our book series is
Yes.
showing kids that you can understand what you need, you can understand
Hmm.
how your brain works, and then you can ask for that. So
Yeah.
I love to hear that, and I'm glad that some materials are becoming available for kids because when your
Yes.
daughter was young, there weren't any books
Absolutely.
or there
Hmm.
weren't any
No.
TV shows.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Is there anything that you would have done differently when your child was in school?
I think that I would have homeschooled her,
Okay.
because going back to the 90s, right?
Mhm.
Without the knowledge that we have now about DLD and what the needs are and what the struggles are and what we can do and all of that, um, she was different, and teachers didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
Kids, kids. I mean, adults have a little more patience, right?
Hmm.
But kids don't. And she was bullied in school, and that really affected a lot of things in her, like the anxiety and the fear of not being understood, or misunderstood. So I would have this. I don't want to say would have, should have, but probably homeschooled her and kept her in extracurricular activities like arts or sports for the social interaction.
Okay.
That also would have given her the extra time she needed, that she was not given
Hmm.
until high school. So she was in a very fast pace in all elementary and middle school, just
Mm.
normal like everybody else.
Hmm.
And so probably that's what I would have done differently. Yeah.
Okay. And then when she got to high school, she got more time. Was that an accommodation
That
that
was
was
an
in her learning
accommodation.
plan?
Yes, we
Okay.
had, people didn't know that. Okay, so there was no DLD um,
Right.
um,
Yeah, that
name,
term
right?
wasn't being
So
used
they say,
yet.
okay, she needs to be re-evaluated,
Mm-hmm.
because you can say, well, DLD is not something that you get cured, right? So reevaluating her doesn't mean it's going to change. It's still there. So, but we did it, and there were recommendations like extra time for tests, extra time for certain assignments if she needed them, sitting in the front of the classroom, um, having a note taker if necessary.
Okay.
Also, she was allowed to use, there was a, I can't remember the name of the pen, but it was a pen with special book that where she wrote, it kind of recorded at the same time. I can't remember, but
Hmm.
life, I don't remember. But that was
Okay.
something that we also got for her. It wasn't too useful, but we got it. She was allowed to record maybe some classes.
She was allowed to
Also,
what, sorry? Oh, record.
to record, yeah.
Hmm.
She didn't use that a lot either, but yeah, so those were the accommodations that she received in high school.
Mm.
And when she entered college, she went, she asked for the same, and immediately they gave him to her.
That's great. Yeah, that
Yeah,
gives a lot of hope, I think, to parents that
yeah,
yes, you can get those accommodations if you decide that you want to go to college or university. It is definitely within your right to ask for those things, especially if you've had the evaluations to back it up.
yeah.
Just related to this question, too, if your daughter had had those accommodations in elementary or primary school, do you think you would have still homeschooled her? I mean, every case is different and the level of bullying is different. The teacher
Yes,
buy-in is different. But
yeah.
in your case, do you think that would have maybe changed your mind?
Um, Again, like you said, it all depended on
Yeah.
how the situations were. I don't know. I really don't know. I do know now, for example, after the experience with COVID, that she started doing the online. She did her postgrad online,
Hmm.
and she loved it, and it worked very well for her. So she did grad school online as well.
Mm.
So that is something that worked for her. So maybe homeschooling her with online, and now they have a lot of online um, programs for homeschool. Maybe that would have also helped. I don't know, but she's a very social person too. So
Right.
she, you know, I don't know.
Right. Margarita, as you're talking, I was thinking we hear from so many parents who want to make the right choice for their child and they want to make sure that they're doing what they can and that they're not missing out on things they should
Mm,
be doing. But I think that, even when you look back and you think, I could have maybe done this differently, the fact is your daughter is doing great right now, even though you maybe didn't do exactly what you would have with hindsight, right? So I want to
yeah,
encourage parents that even if you don't necessarily make the decision that you would have made if you could go back in time, I think that there's still so much hope. And that the fact that parents are trying their best and that they are seeking as much help as they can get, they can also
hmm,
not maybe get too caught up in exactly all the right things because the fact is we just never know, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. In everything we do it because we think that it will be the best.
Hmm.
And sometimes if you catch it in the moment, no, it is not working, you are able to change it. And if you don't know that, and then you realize, oh, that wasn't right, but you tried, and that's what's important, just to keep
Hmm.
trying and see what
Hmm.
works.
Exactly. And I know I've heard from so many parents through the last few years with our community that they feel guilty or they're struggling with depression. And I think it is so important for parents to get help
Hmm.
themselves in those kinds of situations because if you're feeling
Absolutely.
paralyzed with fear or heaviness, depression, you can't help your child
Hmm.
effectively. And it is just a really hard journey. So I'm just going to put a quick plug in. This is not part of our plan for parents if you are struggling to seek that therapy for yourself to help you through this journey because it's not easy and you need to take care of yourself too so that you can effectively help your child.
Hmm.
So the next one, do you have any other thoughts on what parents should really focus on the most to help their child thrive in the world and grow up to be more and more confident?
um yes. I think that a very important thing is to validate their feelings,
Mm.
you know, and celebrate their efforts. And also um, to make sure that they understand that asking for help, it's okay. It doesn't
Mm.
mean that they're weak and that they cannot do something. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for clarification. It's okay to ask for any support they may need.
Yeah.
Um, it builds to try and build confidence that the things that they do are for their benefit, that they don't try to um, take advantage, let's say. I mean,
Mm,
asking for, I need more time to do this doesn't mean that you're taking advantage, you're going to go and watch TV. No, you really need it. So be
mm,
confident that you are asking for something that you need.
right.
And for the social situation that we mentioned before, um, sometimes it helps to practice common social scripts with kids.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I have noticed that something that was really hard for my daughter was like jokes,
Mm,
like daily, how when kids talk and they tease each other and they say she had a hard time understanding that. So
right.
explaining those things, of course you never know what's going to come up, but having them kind of practice that could also help.
Yeah, so when you
And
say social scripts, just in case some parents aren't familiar with that, you're talking about kind of role playing, what it's like
yes,
to
role
tell a
playing.
joke back and
Hmm.
forth,
Yeah, yeah.
or other social scripts, maybe like joining in to play with a group, that type of thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Or if she's part of there's a group of four or whatever, and they plan to mm, let's play this game, and there's also the rules are, and you know how kids talk, and blah, 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 and then she doesn't get it. How do you ask again and
Right.
not just pretend that you understood and then make the mistake? But we told you that's the
Right.
problem.
Yeah,
So,
that's
how can you still be part of the playing group? How can you ask for clarification? Should those things? So, role playing is very important, I think.
that's really good. I like that. And even if you do it with toys,
Oh,
when
yeah.
toys practice,
Yes.
depending on the child's age and personality,
Mm-hmm.
I think that can
Mm-hmm.
be really effective. I'm just going to take a look at the chat here. And one thing that we're being told is just for anybody watching this, Kamisha is moderating the chat. And so if you're typing on there, she's going to be responding to you. And then we also have a question about social anxiety and how to support kids. Margarita, do you want me to move that to the end, or should we just jump into that one right now?
We can talk about that.
We can talk about that. I think
Yeah.
this is a really important one. We know that kids with DLD, teens with DLD, and I guess throughout the whole lifespan, anxiety really is a challenge that many people with DLD experience.
Yes.
So some parents are wondering, will my child be able to overcome it? Actually, that question has come up from
Mm-hmm.
several parents related to this conversation with you. So will a child be able to overcome anxiety? And what's the best way to support them in that journey, from your opinion?
I think there are two separate things
Hmm.
regarding anxiety, and I'm just going to split them a little bit. We did talk about parents, right? And how parents need to get help if they
Hmm.
need to. As parents, we tend to blame ourselves and feel guilty, and that creates anxiety, and you project that.
Mm,
So it is very important that parents recognize the mixed feelings they have and do something about it,
mm,
because the DLD kids will have their own anxiety, and you don't want to add yours into into theirs.
yeah,
So for that, for parents, I know it's very difficult. You have a job, or you have other kids, but find 10, 15 minutes a day where you can just detach from everything and do something that you like. You can read, you can walk, you can go to the gym, even if it's 10, 15 minutes. Again, it's something. Do it for you and
mm,
relax, you know, because you are doing the best you can. Now, anxiety in DLD kids, I think it's something that, like you said, it just goes and comes, you know. Therapy, I think, can help.
yeah,
And if you have to move from one therapist to another therapist to another therapist, do it.
yeah. Till you find
Not
that right
all the
fit.
plans, not they're not not all the therapies will work. There is CBT, DBT, MDR. I mean, tons of different types of therapy, and it depends on what works for your child, the age of your child,
Mm-hmm.
and if they connect with the therapist. So, and also, some kids don't feel like I don't need a therapist, especially if they are in their teens. It's that thing like they will be the different ones. They go to therapy.
Right.
But I think that explaining what being in therapy means,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's okay to need to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy is something that should be considered for DLD kids
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
manage the anxiety that is going to come and go and come back. I mean, I've seen it at the beginning of when the diagnosis. She was diagnosed with anxiety at the age of 5 because she couldn't communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Then it went better through. She graduated from speech in third grade up to fifth grade was okay. Then she entered a private school for middle school, and down again anxiety
Mm-hmm.
because of the things that were expected from her.
Right.
And then again, high school, reevaluated accommodations. Then she was back in more in control. Then she leaves home, she leaves the school, she goes to college. Again, other facing other issues. So anxiety goes up. So
Right.
it's something that will be with them, and they will learn to manage that. They will learn to identify the things that will increase their anxiety and the things that would lessen their anxiety.
Right.
But I think that it's a component that it's there, and it's just the tools that we give them to be able to manage that. That's what's important.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, so there is hope. There is hope for parents
Yes.
that things will get better, that their child can improve, that therapy can be a really effective tool. I think that awareness that they know, okay, this is
Hmm.
probably going to be a trigger for me. As they get older, they'll start to maybe be able to be proactive in some situations because
Yes.
they recognize this is probably going to make me feel anxious, but I know
Hmm.
what to do, right? And so
Yeah.
as they understand their brain better, they can learn to, I think, manage the anxiety more. I'm just actually writing a note here on my paper that I'd love to do another Facebook Live with some young adults with DLD who have
Hmm.
struggled with anxiety. I know there are a number of them
Yeah.
who are in our community. So maybe we can continue this conversation and
Hmm.
even do a whole Facebook Live event related to anxiety. But Margarita, I think you've mentioned some fantastic things for parents to keep in mind when they're navigating that. One other question that we've got here is, do you have any tips on how to help kids with DLD reflect on what they're experiencing and develop insight? I know we didn't give you that question in advance, but it's just come up here. I have some thoughts too on this one.
Um, yes. Can you read that again? Let me just.
Definitely, yeah. Do you have any tips for parents to help them teach their kids how to reflect and develop more insight into their experiences?
I think that by explaining clearly what is going on, age appropriate,
Hmm.
again, using books, videos, helping them see what are the struggles and
Mm,
what they can do and what is what others can do
mm.
will help them
Yeah,
navigate, you know, situations and feel more accepted or
Mhm.
understood, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I know I have a child who was in therapy for a little while for anxiety. She doesn't have DLD, but the therapy also helped her reflect a little bit and gain more insight into her experiences.
Hmm.
And another tool that I love to use too is modeling my own reflection. So if I experience a problem, even something as silly as messing up a recipe or making some kind of mistake at home, if I talk through my thought process on that, that's just modeling being vulnerable to my kids and sort of the process that I go through as I reflect. This is what happened.
Hmm.
This is how it made me feel. I could choose to respond like this, or I could choose to respond like that. Sometimes that can be helpful for kids. And then I would say our favorite tool at Empowered DLD is using reflexive questions. So
Hmm.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Margarita. And just for parents who are watching, we mean by that asking a child something like, what do you think would help you right now? Or
Hmm.
and for some kids, that's too hard. They don't know. They're just upset. They're just
Yeah.
dysregulated. So maybe we might offer some suggestions. Do you think it would help to do this, or do you think it would help to do that? And we even show in our birthday party book, Dan, because he's heard these reflexive questionings. What do you think would help you calm down right now, Dan? He's heard it so many times
Hmm.
that he develops that own his own inner voice to be able to ask himself, what do I think would help me calm down right now?
Hmm.
Or what do I think I need in this situation? And then he's able to cue himself
Hmm.
to then ask for what he needs or take a step, take some kind of action to calm down or whatever it is that's needed. What's your thought on that?
I think that's very important, and I'm just going to bring one example as a
Hmm.
teacher. I taught kinder and first grade. I had a student in first grade who had ADHD, and he wasn't medicated, and he was very, very active.
Mm,
And it was very hard. The parents, they understood that, but they, again, they didn't want to put him on medication, and I totally supported them. And, it's their choice and their decision. So what I did with him was that we kind of identify the moments and the times where he got, I wouldn't I, I wouldn't say frustrated, but the times he needed to do something about his activity, right? So we developed a sign, kind of a sign communication.
okay.
And my classroom had a little back patio. So I
Mhm.
put four cones, those little cones, and he will sign, give me the signal, and I will just, not, and he would just go out and run 2 or 3 laps in that little place, and then the moment he was okay, he would come back.
Mm,
So he was able to identify that, those moments, and he
mm,
didn't need to wait for me to say sit and do your work or whatever, because he knew, okay, I'm getting there, I need this.
right.
And knowing that I knew,
Mhm.
that made it so much easier.
That's beautiful.
If
That's
the
beautiful.
teacher knows what's going on, then the kid will feel more comfortable in sharing and expressing, I'm feeling this and I need this.
Hmm.
If the teacher doesn't know anything, it's like, what do you mean you need to run? You run
Right.
in recess, right? You don't run in the classroom. The classroom is to study or something. But
Hmm.
knowing that, and I think it's very important for kids.
So parents can be having those conversations at
Yes.
home when their child is calm, right
Yes.
in the moment. Sometimes it's not great to introduce these things when the child is really upset, at
Exactly.
least for the first time. But
Yes.
when the child is calm, starting those conversations, modeling them yourself, chatting with the teacher so they're
Mm-hmm.
aware, and even sometimes having visuals up on, like,
Yes.
here are some things that you can do to calm down, or self-regulate. Here are some strategies that might help you with your communication, and having maybe like a little picture that goes with it, just as a prompt that, okay, I know I need to use a strategy. What are my strategies again? And being able to refer to those things. Um,
Yes.
I think those are
Yes.
helpful, but I love that you had that plan in place for that little boy with ADHD. And I hope all parents here have the opportunity to have a teacher like you who is so intentional and who has that insight and empathy and cares for the child. One more question here from the chat, and then we'll get back to our list. Margarita, do you ever grieve the life that you imagined for your child? Or did you in the past ever kind of get caught up in sadness that this is so hard for my daughter? And if you did, or even if you didn't, but you can imagine some parents kind of getting stuck in that grief of, wow, this is hard and this is not what I expected. Do you have any advice for how to move through that?
Yes. Uh, yes, I have felt sad
Mhm,
because that's not, of course, nobody has a perfect life, right? But there are certain things that you wish your child didn't go through,
mhm,
an illness or an accident or DLD.
mhm,
It's and just realizing that there's no cure for DLD, it's already something that you really have to understand. And that doesn't define who your child is
mhm,
or what is your child capable of doing, becoming, and overcoming, and everything. DLD doesn't just label and limits your kid.
mhm,
It's there, you know.
mhm,
Asthma is there. You have the
mhm.
inhaler.
Yeah.
DLD is there. You have strategies. You can do this, and just keep supporting.
Mm,
And it's not our fault. Is again, if you made mistakes, it's because you're trying your best, and you just, I mean, you make mistakes in anything. Like you said, you make a recipe, you make a mistake, it's too salty or whatever.
yeah.
So it will happen. It will
Mhm.
happen. But again, DLD doesn't define who your child is and what he or she can become.
Beautiful. Yeah. So focusing on the positives, allowing yourself to grieve and allowing
Mhm.
yourself to feel sad, but recognizing my child is so much more than just DLD.
Yes.
Sometimes I even suggest to parents, write out a list of all your child's strengths or um, areas that they are showing that they can excel in. Maybe it's being empathetic. Maybe it's being a really patient kid. And so I think that, yeah, those things that you mentioned are so important. And like you said too, with mistakes, not getting caught up in the fact that, oh,
Hmm.
my child is 13 and we missed out on 13 years where we could have been getting support. Parents sometimes feel like that, but if they
Yes.
let themselves stay there, then they can't help their child move forward. So somehow getting some therapy or working through accepting that and not getting
Hmm.
stuck, I think that that's very difficult, but it's very important too, so
Yeah,
that
and
we
we also
can.
have to remember there are several areas where they feel competent and successful, and we need to celebrate that every day.
Mhm. Yeah,
Either arts, sports. Kids with DLD are very creative.
yeah.
So you have to find, and not only you, but your child will find something, one or more things. And that's where you can focus and celebrate that and remind them of that. And have reminders of that too. For example, my daughter, of course, I took her to ballet classes at the age of 4, and she kind of looked at me like, no. She said, I want to learn karate.
Oh.
So, so we went from the ballerina hope to the black belt,
Hmm.
So, and she was very good at it. And she loved that. So, celebrate that.
Yeah,
She went
that's
to
so
tournaments
important.
and she won. And that was something that she was very proud of. And,
Mm.
you know, things like that. So
Yeah. That's huge
celebrate.
for self-esteem. That's huge.
Yes.
And I sometimes suggest to parents, maybe you scale back a little bit on the speech therapy, or maybe you allow yourself to say, we're going to take a break from speech therapy for a little
Mm-hmm.
while because we can't afford speech therapy and karate lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're not going to do twice a week. We're going to do once a week or twice every month, something like this, so that we can really prioritize these other things in the child's life too. I think that that
Mm-hmm.
is something important to keep in mind. And I love that you also mentioned we tried ballet and it didn't resonate with her, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then we tried something else until we found it.
Yeah.
That is something that parents can keep in mind that you might strike out on the first few tries,
Yes.
but keep on going, keep on
Mm-hmm.
trying. All right. How do we balance as parents advocating managing school? Oh, this one's related. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we balance advocating, managing school, social life, and still have enough energy to connect with our kids? And
Okay.
along with that, what can parents do if they feel dysregulated or burnt out? We've talked about this a
I
little
think
bit,
we
but
talked about that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
I
think.
mean, yeah, it's again, allow yourself to have all those feelings.
Mhm,
You're going to have the mixed feelings. You're going to be upset, you're going to be worried, you're going to be sad, you're going to be happy, you're everything. And again, it's just how you are able to work with those emotions and what is the support you need. And as an adult, it's easier probably for us to find the support we need.
mhm.
And if it is just taking some time for an activity that you like that relaxes you, or if it is therapy, or if it's just chatting with a friend or whatever, but find something.
Mhm.
But allow yourself to feel all those things, because it's normal. It's it
Yeah.
happens to people that are not dealing with anything, or nobody's not dealing with anything. But what I mean is, it's you just have to find a way that you will be the best to support your child.
Yep,
It's
that's really good. And
yeah.
giving yourself permission too, that uh, taking the 15 minutes for yourself every
Mm-hmm.
day to really help yourself stay grounded or somehow just fill your own cup, giving yourself permission that this is not taking away from my child. This is
Mm-hmm.
actually allowing me
To
to
be better.
invest in my child. I
Yes.
can't run on empty. And I mean, I'm speaking from experience of having gone through a phase of burnout
Mm-hmm.
where I wasn't doing that. So that's something that I've definitely learned as a parent, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to put it into practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a journey and it's a challenging one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about advice on sharing the DLD diagnosis with extended family members. So,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, aunts, uncles, grandparents haven't heard of DLD. You find out your child has it. How do you share that information with them?
I think that explaining it very clear,
Hmm.
short,
Hmm.
this is the diagnosis, this is what is affected, this is what my child needs, and this is how we can help.
Okay.
And it's a good thing when there is larger family, in the sense that social issues are present, are there. Like if they have cousins, it will be probably easier for you to navigate the social environment with cousins their age, a little bit older or a little bit younger, but still is family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are people that the child knows, that they feel more comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So by them knowing what your child is experiencing, it will help your kid feel better.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I have seen, again, my experience in the classroom, um, when I had a child that had a learning difference,
Mm-hmm.
because my classroom was the one that always all the learning differences landed because I asked for them. Um,
Oh,
I
wow.
I like to work with those children, and we always had conversations with my kids, and we are talking 5, 6, and 7 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and you will be amazed on how much they understand. And the more you tell them at their level, the more empathy they will have, the
Mm.
more they will help. They will feel that they even protect the kid in the classroom from others in recess, because they don't know, but I do know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on.
Mm.
So telling family, I think it's important and it's helpful.
Yeah, or finding that empathetic peer too,
Yes.
who you can explain a little bit more to in the classroom.
Yes.
That can be good. So we've got quite a few more questions in the chat, but I want to do one more from our list.
Hmm.
Is there a particular one that you want to discuss from our list, Margarita? Or I'm
um
thinking some of the ones from the last parent who sent things in,
oh yeah.
maybe?
um there was one, yeah, I wrote it down this morning. um I think the question was if I believe that therapy helped. I think
Mm.
I think there was some kind of difficulty finding a therapist or something like that. I can remember.
Yes,
Like,
yes. This is from a mother in the UK
yes.
who
Hmm.
she said she keeps hearing that speech language therapy is incredibly important. Her child is still quite young, but
Hmm.
they're having a very hard time accessing funding, and
Yes.
sometimes even there's really long wait lists. So um, and they're trying to pay for private sessions every
Hmm.
week. But how important do you think it is to have your child in speech therapy?
I think it's important, definitely.
Mm.
And I also think that because of the different situations of the family, in this, like in this case, when you have to go private, um, try to learn and ask the speech therapist what is what you can work on at home.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Hmm.
Because you can have speech for twice a week, but if you know what you have to do at home and you find the right time, the right approach, you can balance that gap between twice or once a month,
Hmm.
and you can still provide the support they need.
Right.
I remember my daughter for a couple of years had therapy in school, and she was paired with other kids with completely different needs.
Mm.
So we really didn't see that was working, and so but we had already started with our private SLP, and I will always be watching what she was doing with her in private. And then she would tell me, these are the things that you can do at home. And I remember working with those sequencing cards.
Yeah.
And we did them a lot. And I think that helped a lot.
Mm. Mm.
And it was more, the approach was more like in a playing thing when she was little
Right.
than just, okay, let's see this class, speech class. No.
Right.
And the other thing that helped a lot, well, where I'm going off topic, I think it's reading and telling stories.
Yeah.
Because a difficult thing for DLD kids is to put sequencing things right in the correct order.
Hmm.
So, but again, if I do believe that speech is important, and I think that you can get tips from the speech therapist.
Yeah.
And again, it's another thing. You have to make sure that the kid connects with the speech therapist.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very important. It's very
Mhm.
important. So
Finding somebody where your child can really develop a
yes,
rapport. Yeah,
yes.
that really is essential. And sometimes I tell parents too that, maybe your child will do a block of therapy and will really give them a boost, and then they can go on break for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe a year later, they need to do another solid block of therapy. We often find transitions. I know you mentioned this, like
Yes.
going into middle school,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes demands increase a lot. And so your child may need another boost at that time.
Yes, I think
So
so.
it's not that you're going to be paying for private therapy every week for the rest of your child's
Mm-hmm.
life, but keeping in mind that periodically throughout the lifetime, it may, and every child is different, but it may be something that you want to keep in the back of your mind that this is something that we're going to continue exploring.
Yes.
Okay, we're just about out of time here. I feel like you and I could talk for several more hours. But I'm just going to jump to a couple other questions here. So, if somebody's asking, does DLD associate or is DLD associated with ADHD? And is DLD genetic?
Okay. I think it is genetic. I
Yes,
mean, I don't think it is
it
genetic.
is.
It
Hmm.
is genetic. Um, I don't think it's necessarily linked to ADHD.
Okay.
In my experience, again, I don't want to generalize or speak and give a statement that might not be true, but
Hmm.
my daughter was not ADHD
Right.
at all.
Right.
So my experience was that she was very, I will call it pure DLD.
I see. Yeah.
Okay.
Some kids can definitely have
Yes,
both. I think they're at a
exactly.
greater risk for having both, but certainly it's
It,
not always
it,
the case
no, it
with
doesn't
every
come
child.
always together.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
You're right. Actually, Dan, our character from our book series, we've created him as a child having ADHD and
Hmm.
DLD. Um, okay, what about? I'm just reading this one. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what that means, but maybe moving schools. So if a child is really struggling in one school, and a parent is thinking, should I move her to another school? Or let's also touch on, should I hold my child back a year? Because that's a question that we've heard many times. What are your thoughts on those two things? Potentially
Okay.
holding a child back and switching schools.
Holding the child back because of DLD is not. I personally don't think it's appropriate
Hmm.
because DLD is not going to change because he's doing again first grade. You know,
Hmm.
um, if the problem is a social situation in not only in the classroom but in the school environment, maybe, maybe.
Okay,
Um, Again, it all depends on what is the situation at the school.
right.
What are the teachers doing? If we are talking about bullying, if we are talking about academic struggles, what we're talking about? Because if it's academic, then there are a lot of things that teachers can do. You don't have to keep the child back
Hmm.
another year because that's not going to make any difference if he gets another teacher that's doing not adjusting to the child. You
Right.
have to teach to the way they learn. You don't
Hmm.
teach the way you teach because this is how I teach.
Yes.
I teach the way you learn. That's how I teach. So
Right.
it depends on what is the real problem in that school.
Hmm. Yeah, every
Mm.
case is different.
Every
If
case is different, but I don't think holding back a child is the solution because again, DLD is not going to, to disappear because he's doing again a grade.
Especially when kids are older and the social impact is so big.
Yeah.
What about, say, repeating kindergarten? Do you think in some cases that could be a good option for
Y-
some kids?
Yes, let me tell you my own experience again.
Okay.
She's an August birthday. So she turned 5 in August and started kinder. We also, because she had been exposed to bilingual at home,
Hmm.
we wanted her to have a bilingual education. So we put her in a bilingual K. She was the youngest in the classroom. And then we realized, and this was something that the private speech therapist told us, her preferred language is English. And why it's not that being bilingual is affecting her uh, issues, but if we put her in a place where they speak the language that she prefers, would lessen her anxiety.
Mm,
So, because of that, and because she was the youngest, we switched her the following year to kinder in the English only program.
mm,
So she repeated kinder.
I see.
Right. So in that case, it worked because
Right.
she was probably the second oldest in the classroom in the new classroom,
Hmm.
but she was she did okay academically. She was fine.
Okay. Yeah. So
So
every case is different,
every case is
but
different,
sometimes with kindergarten, it can
and a
be
lot
a good
of times,
option.
again, that in my teaching experience,
Hmm.
I have seen kids that come to my room turning 5 in October or November, and you can see the difference with the kids that are turning 6 in
Yeah.
November.
Right.
And it's not a matter of they are going to learn better or not, it's a matter of maturity and a
Hmm.
matter of how much they can handle
Hmm.
in a classroom with rules that they have to follow. And sometimes they are not ready.
Mm.
They are not ready for that rigorous curriculum that, I mean, I don't know, I haven't been in a classroom in a while, but um, we had to teach our kids to read and write by the end of kinder.
Hmm.
And they had to write paragraphs. It was
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Wow.
it was
Okay, I'm just looking at the
crazy.
clock here. I guess our hour is up. I wanted to say two quick things before we say goodbye, and that is that sometimes being in a bilingual environment can actually be a great thing for kids. It really depends on the reasons why, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes having your child stay in the additional language because that means they can communicate with family members or the community around them. Sometimes that can be a better option. So that one really is individual based on the
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
And then we've also got a question here talking about when you had your daughter assessed, was there any talk of checking for additional diagnoses? And sometimes parents are feeling like everything's being attributed to DLD. So we don't really have time to get into that one, but it's something we can talk about next time.
Mhm.
I will just say that it's very common for kids with DLD to have additional diagnoses. Dyslexia is something that occurs in about half of cases with DLD. ADHD is something that we often see as well, developmental coordination disorder. So if you feel like there's something else going on, I do think that it is important for parents to keep on, as hard as it is, keep on advocating, because sometimes there are additional things at play that need to be addressed specifically in their own roots, right?
Mhm.
So let's try to talk about that a little bit more next time. But for now, Margarita, I just want to thank you so much for taking this time,
Mhm.
preparing for this, sharing all of your insight. I'm really excited that I think we're going to be able to do this again with you. And I want to thank to anybody who's watching this. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sending in your questions. We think that you are doing an amazing job. Parenting a child with DLD is not easy, but you're doing it. You're showing up day after day. Keep taking care of yourself. and filling your own cup. And we are doing this together. So thanks so much, everybody. We
Thank
will see you
you.
next time. Bye bye.
Bye.